the first panel discussions, I would like to welcome Bálint, Ágnes, and Erika with the panel discussion on screen time, green time, and mental regeneration approach. And I would like to start by opening the space for introducing yourself first.
Thank you very much, Aliza. I'm taking over. I see on the list I have Bálint and Ági, my panel guest here. So they will also appear at some point. But I'm starting with a little bit of an intro of the topic of this session. And before actually, I was thinking it's really an honor to open the program and kick off the panel discussions. So I introduced myself already at the beginning. So I'm Erika, and I'm part of the Accessible Forest team. And today I'm going to be the host of this panel discussion. Yes, so we are here to talk about something we all, I guess, know quite well, maybe sometimes a little too well, and that's our relationship to digital devices. I mean, we are all sitting in front of a laptop or a desktop, so we don't have to go really far to find a digital device to talk about. So we are all part of this world, and it's happening in our life. But we also today talk about how nature, connecting to nature, can support us in finding balance with the overwhelmed digital usage. Phones like laptops in front of us and streams and social media, these are a really big part of our daily lives. But of course, these devices and also the usage, they help us to connect, to work, to learn, and sometimes to relax. But we tend to use them more than what we need, and that is a sneaky way of taking more of our time and attention that we want to. And how many of us have gone online, maybe even this morning or yesterday, just to check something really quickly, and 2 hours later we just wonder what happened, and how come we spend so much time sitting and looking at our screens. So today's panel is about exploring what happens when the digital side takes from our life more space than it feels healthy, and how to spend time in nature, connecting with trees or leaves and natural elements that can help us to find the balance again. And digital overuse, it's not a private issue anymore. It's a social issue. And this is why in this Accessible Forest project, when we were thinking about what would be the best group to choose to work with, these vulnerable groups, we try to see, because we had several options, what is the most pressing challenges for certain groups. So we decided to go and focus on people, adults, and also kids who are facing with this challenge of digital overuse in a level that it's really impacting their life, and also a lot of different parts of their life, obviously not in the most positive way. And through our work with them, we had several books, as it was mentioned at the beginning. We have really seen and experienced how nature can calm, relax, or even recharge, or support their creativity. So it was really not just our imagination that this would work, but also every book and every time we had some experience, it was already proved. Yes, and just one more thing is because it's an adult education program, and then our focus actually through the kids is the teachers and educators who work with younger people, and I think it could be really beneficial for them how we share experiences. But I think it's enough for the for the intro, and let's dive deeper into our questions. And I'm happy to introduce our guests today, Agi and Bálint. I'm also going to be using the first part. It's easier to remember. So Agi here is with us, who is an integral self-awareness mentor, environmental educator, forest bathing guide, and Agi worked with us in this project as an expert. And Bálint Forgács is a psychologist, associate professor teaching in Budapest and Berlin. And we have invited Bálint to share his thoughts on the impact of digital overuse. So the topic of this panel discussion is screen time or green time, and this is a question. And I would like to invite you to introduce yourself shortly and also include in your introduction like what green time means to you personally, and how do you balance it, the screen time in your life. So please, who would like to start?
Agi, would you like to start?
Yeah, go on, Bálint.
Okay, so thank you very much for the introduction and for the kind words. Yeah, so I'm doing experimental psychology mostly, and I'm working with infants in a baby lab. So I've been not part of this project, but I was very fascinated by it, as I think there's a growing awareness now that it's very, very challenging, not only for adults to control themselves in the digital realms, but to set the boundaries for kids, how to control themselves in the digital realms, which are specifically designed psychologically. Behaviorist psychologist reinforcement methods are used and employed in their design to grab our attention and not let it go. And this is a serious societal challenge that has been ignored by the legal and the political and the economic systems and structures, even though psychologists have been apparently not too effectively, but trying to raise the alarm bell. And one of the new motivations and impetus now is coming from a very exciting book that I'm going to talk later a bit more of Jonathan Haidt, who is now very influential in giving advice to government how to help children with dealing with the digital. And so a personal note on how I balance it. I took a couple of steps back when I read about how addictive Facebook and social media is a couple of years ago, when my brother entirely left Facebook. I decided not to, because I think it's important for the adults, parents who are visiting our lab to see that I'm a real person. So I couldn't really quit it entirely, but I'm not doing social media as I'm sitting in front of screens anyhow all the time. So I have a minimal presence there. And one of my most enjoyable, besides going in forests and hiking in Jaipur Green, activities that I discovered a couple of years ago is when I picked up running sometimes in some periods. I'm not all the time running, but sometimes I'm swimming. So when I'm doing sports, I really enjoy that I can do a 2 hours long hike in 1 hour, or a 3 hours long hike in 1 hour, and be in a forest and see all the beauties while I'm exercising. And I think to myself that yes, the caveman was doing the same thing, running a lot.
Super, Bálint, thank you very much. Agi, please introduce yourself and some insights on your life.
Yeah, thank you. So hello, everyone. So Agi is short for Ágnes, and I'm also Era's and Krista's colleague in Hungary. I was involved in this project, and I had a really nice part that I really enjoyed working with also working with teenagers, with Krista, and working with special groups of moms, mainly moms living in a special care home where they are having like a support, mainly single moms or women with difficult background or a very sensitive, in a very sensitive life situation. And this is close to where I work mainly, which is we set up with some colleagues an international network called Mother Nature, which is about supporting mothers, not so they don't feel alone, and supporting them with different tools. And many of these tools are related to nature connection. So we have something called the Mother's Journey, which is a nature-based learning self-reflection about motherhood for mothers. And these kind of programs would never get to the sensitive, like mothers with a difficult life situation, like single moms or living in care homes. So this is why I'm very happy to, this is why I'm very happy to have this project as well, and having them as one of the target groups within the target group of digital overuse. And I'm also researching a similar topic, which is nature-based adult learning in EACEA University, Faculty of Pedagogy and Psychology in Budapest. So a big part of my past 1 year was visiting different nature-based adult learning courses and retreats, and just watching and then speaking to people. And really what I'm interested in is what makes a learning process really effective in terms of like helping people to connect with nature, to really feel connected with nature. And I have an unpublished, it's like big unpublished pool of knowledge, but I have some insights that I find very meaningful. And in my life, this is an ongoing topic for me. Thank you for the question, Era, about how do I deal with screen time and green time. So when I'm looking out through my window, I see this beautiful garden where I live in the countryside, like an hour away from Budapest in Hungary. And so my home is basically an indoor/outdoor place since March till November. And I'm facing with this question very often, like, why do I sit in front of a computer inside the house when there is so much to do outside, and it's only my garden and then a lot more. So also in my work, I go out a lot, and I go out to run like you, Bálint, and a lot of garden work, which is just partly work, but partly hobby. But it's an ongoing topic for me as well, like how to let the world know about what I'm doing without spending too much time in front of the computer, and how to really balance this out with me time, not only work time in nature, but me time in nature. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much, Aggie, as well for your introduction. And yeah, it's really inspiring to hear both of you, even just for the introduction. One of the, I mean, in these conferences, one of the challenge for me is always how we meet each other. And it's, I mean, meeting not only nature and the discussion, but also with each other. So we brought you a short small talks, or in the small groups. So we will, I mean, yeah, I give you back, I give the word to introduce us, like what we do, and then just telling to Daniel, our technical support, that we will need 13 breakout rooms, and the floor is yours, Aggie.
Yeah, thank you so much. So the idea was that in some meaningful way, we would like you to also get to know each other. And also doing, it's a very tricky thing, because this comes back this green time and screen time. So we would like to use the screen time to give you some me time and green time, so that you can really meet each other in these small groups. And soon you will see like little box popping up, which invites you to one of the breakout rooms. So please go there. But if there is anyone who knows that you can't go there, then maybe does it make sense at this point, Era, to ask people to put some kind of raise their hands if they can go? So no,
we just go.
Okay, we just go. And So the invitation is to connect with each other and connect with the natural world, which is already like a differentiation, which is tricky because we are the natural world as well. So I see Elisabetta with this beautiful background. And for you, it will be very easy, but for other people, it won't be difficult as well, because we all, even if we are in a building, we have something which is part of nature around us. It can be looking through your window and see a tree, or it can be connecting with the plant, or if you really don't have anything green and anything alive, then connect with the piece of wood furniture or whatever, a rock or whatever you have near you. So the invitation, and I will put this invitation in the chat once you are in the breakout room, so you will see it again, not the chat, but the message. Oh yeah, in the chat. So you will see it written as well. So the invitation is to find, when you are in the breakout room, to find in your real environment something that is for you is a part of nature. And then introduce yourself through the perspective of that being to your partners. So it can be borrowing the perspective of that being and using third person talking about yourself, but it can just be introducing yourself as a first person, but you also use the kind of relation to this being in the introduction. I hope it's clear. Please, if not, ask. And now I'm doing this chat thing. So I will try and put this instruction into the chat. Hopefully it will appear to everyone. So first find a non-human being, living being, if possible, living. That's an interesting question. What is living and what is non-living? Find a non-human being right next to you in your space, or by looking out from your window, then introduce yourself in relation to that being, to your partner. You can use the perspective of the being or your own perspective that includes the being, okay? And you will have each, like, let's say 3 minutes for that, right? And we will post you a little message when you will know that it's the next person's round and the third person's round. And if you happen to be only 2, then use the time. That's your wish. Yeah, so have a good connection time. We will see you each of you back in about 10 minutes. It's nice to see the faces coming back. More faces than before. It's nice to see you. And I always like to see the faces coming back from personal reflection or introduction. The connection is something that I can feel through seeing the different faces. I hope you have a good experience. You had a good experience with this. And I would love to hear. And if you had a nice experience, write it in the chat. And I pass it on to Era, our facilitator now.
Yes, thank you very much, Adi. And we really hope that, especially at the beginning of such a long day conference, it's also good to see who are these people who you will spend the day today. So that's why we brought this short intro, a special one to nature, to you. But now let's go on. And I have the question to Bálint. To hear a little bit more from you, that I come with a question that what are the most inevitable impacts of accessible screen time on mental health and well-being that you have observed or had a research on? So how do you see this question? That's what would be nice to hear from you.
Yeah, so thank you. This is a very big topic, and it's a fine balance not to go into too many details, but also give something more specific. And it's also a very general thing. I mean, a screen time, we all grew up with screens, as TVs were in every household in our childhoods. So I'm focusing a bit more on these, I would focus a bit more on these screen-based new technologies, these tiny screens and these prolific screens, and these screens, computers, where we select our programming or what we do, which being one object of one particular activity in the past, they turned into an object of every possible activity, from shopping to reading to video to movies, etc. So these technologies have absolutely unprecedented benefits, the information access, the connection to people, and that was the promise why societies took on them. And it's a very important detail that is sometimes overlooked, that it really connects, for example, people's workplaces with their homes instantly. So in the past, you went to your workplace and you saw your loved ones in the evening. Now we can chat with our loved ones. We can be connected during the whole day. Especially this is true for those who are abroad, far from their families, their home countries. We are not separated now. So these are definitely good sides. And I wanted to add this because then I'm going to be critical, but these are absolutely fascinating, revolutionary shifts that we take for granted now. And I think what is very problematic, a couple of things, and one most problematic is that social media specifically is actually, instead of connecting, is very often, and by now, maybe more often, disconnecting people. Because what it does is pulls you out, it pulls you out from the here and now, which is mostly often populated by people. So if you're alone, if you're in the first weeks of your travel abroad, or if you're up in a mountain alone, this is really connecting. But if you're already in a social, physical social environment, it is disconnecting. And most people is in a social environment. So for most people, it experiences it as disconnecting device, but it's advertised as a connecting device. And the constant alerts and overstimulation it distracts our attention from other people. And it does so in a way that is addictive and threatening. This is also not very much discussed because this is against the financial interests of these companies which are selling it as a connecting device. It's addictive because it's designed to be addictive by experimental psychologists. I'm sorry, I can't take responsibility for that work, but it's basically using the same algorithms to reward and punish in a very mild way as the Las Vegas slot machines. It's the same partial reinforcement regime that you get information on your news feed. A little bit of more rewarding, little bit of less rewarding. And the like button guy who invented it is a total star of the digital tech bros, but it created ostracization, social evaluation, similar to the gladiator's life or death decision, okay? And this is what it triggers emotionally. So social media hacks into our social cognition. It constantly forces us to use this more scientific term, reputation management, if we are accepted, if we are esteemed in our social environments, in our community, if we are respected, if we are loved. And this is what we need to manage constantly if we get these alerts. And it's driven by our ancient caveman brains, conformity bias that we want to behave as others, and prestige bias that we want to follow the master, the expert, the knowledgeable. And these systems are designed to go into that. And so it has been documented at its start that it is detrimental to mental health. This disconnection, this hack into our attention systems. And what Jonathan Haidt in his book that I highly recommend, The Anxious Generation, highlights that this has caused a generation shift in the Z generation, the current 20-year-olds, between 2010 and 2015, where depression in that generation, anxiety, self-harm, and suicide rates are on the rise constantly, almost since that period. And this is a pandemic, practically. And this is because there are two worlds now that we live in parallel. The ones that we were all socialized in, to which we added the digital world, and another world, the digital world, where the teenagers of the past decade were socialized in, which is asynchronous, disembodied, personal, but in an impersonal way, because it's not one-on-one, it's not direct, it's always asynchronous in the sense of you type something and the other responds in an hour. You type something and it's seen not one people, but by a community of hundreds of people. So it's these parallel and delayed interactions are the hacks. They are not the real social interaction based on presence and immediate interaction that our brain and emotional systems are selected for. So it hacks into our brain, but leaves our emotional part thirsty. And this has transformed childcare, and this is where I want to put the last emphasis on, because it changed the play, the structure of play. And this is also important for adults, because we need some play as well. But the structure of play in a childhood is essential for every mammal, because it allows to practice adult activities with low risk, low cost, feedback, and allowing a failure, and adult behaviors of social and physical challenges, because we adults are used to it already. But as kids, we need to imitate and mimic those challenges, social and physical alike. The phone-based childhood blocks the real-life experiences because it eliminates the physical and social challenges, but it eliminates it in a way that it puts the kids in an adult context where real-life reputation management, real-life social problems are there. If I'm accepted, if I'm esteemed, if I'm an honorable member of my community, and they are instantly catapulted into an adult context. So what I want to end on is that Jonathan Haidt is arguing, and it really struck a chord with me personally, on a play-based childhood that all the boomers, the X generation, the Y generation, the millennials experienced, is that for kids, a risk-allowing game is essential. When adults are not controlling the game, not setting the rules, not even necessarily supervising. How many times we played unsupervised on the streets? How many times? How old were you when you were let to go to do the shopping, to go to do the groceries? How old were you when you were allowed to go to school alone? So these unsupervised interactions were essential for us to learn how to deal with people in our age group, in other age groups. So what he proposes is that allowing multi-cohort, physical, motion-driven game and play in the open air is what the best quality playtime for kids. And I would argue, in the context of accessible forest, is for adults as well.
Mhm. Okay, sorry to interrupt, but Era told me that she had some problems with electricity. So I'm stepping in for one word to thank you, Bálint, for sharing this. It was super interesting. And I would love to pass the word to Ági. And as you agreed to go on, okay? And we hope that Era will come back in a few moments.
Thank you. Yes. And also, maybe when Era comes back, we will check in with the timing.
Yeah, because checking with the timing, just to like interrupt, because basically we should close this panel because we agreed on the structure of 45 minutes and 15 minutes break. At the same time, well, we didn't offer the space for the question yet, so I'm trying to figure out, maybe there would be an option that people who have questions and then would like to involve in the discussion further, maybe then we could create a breakout rooms for those people so we don't like keep everyone, just to also respect that, well, screen time and green time balance. So for people who would like to join other panels to have a break, but for the others who would like to continue with question and discussion, like having these breakout rooms open so people could go and talk with you further, this could be also a solution. How do you find it, Agi and Bálint, that we open the breakout rooms with you, and people who would like to continue and ask you additional questions, they could use their time and to go there, and for the others we will open the break and continue on the hour, so like at 11 a.m., which would be like like for the CET time, but then on the like full hour for the others, so we can continue with the next topic. Would it be fine? I see
I'm
people
absolutely
nodding.
fine with it. My tiny concern or broader question is that I think breakout rooms can be assigned to, but not easily joined.
No, there is also a Zoom. There is also a feature on Zoom when you can open a breakout room for people to join if they want
Super.
it. And
great.
I'm sure
Okay.
that, well, Daniel is able to to do it. So
Thank
then
you.
for all of you like who would like to join and then continue this conversation about the screen time and green time and the relationship of nature, then this is like, well, you can go to this room. And otherwise, I would like to invite you for a break. You can connect to something green, like let your eyes rest, and we see each other. Now I think it's like in 14 minutes sharp, so on a full hour, and then we will continue with the topics of convention on the rights of persons with disabilities and the right to the contact with nature. So see you soon.
Yes, and in the name of ERA, thank you, Agi and Bálint, and thank you everyone for listening. And please join the breakout room or go to break as you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Krista, and then see you very soon.